Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about tortoise shell pyramiding. This is my leopard tortoise Frankie. He is 3 years old. I've had him since March 2020. He was 6 months old when I got him, and he was the smallest out of the clutch, but he has had no health issues. He has given me no problems. I've taken him to the vet. He's growing healthy, all that good stuff. Recently, within the past like 10 to 12 months, he has developed some pyramiding. And if you don't know what pyramiding is, it is basically the scutes growing pointed, kind of like his are right here, especially this middle one. Instead of being a flat rounded shell, which is the goal, any tortoise keeper, I would say, and I believe is like their greatest fear is tortoise pyramiding, their shell pyramiding, because that means we're doing something wrong. So I want to touch base on that. I want to revisit videos that I researched before getting him, YouTubers that I trust because they have tortoises with beautiful shells. Let's talk about some of the factors that can cause pyramiding, which are humidity, improper UVB lighting, improper diet, which can mean either too much protein, not enough fiber, or overfeeding. That's a possibility as well. And also metabolic bone disease, MBD, which is another thing that not just tortoises, but a lot of reptiles can suffer from if they don't get the proper care that they need. The reason why we want to avoid the shell pyramiding is because, oh, he's pooping. He does this to me every time. All right, dude, I'm gonna try to be fast so you can do your business. The reason why we want to avoid pyramiding is because their spine is actually right down their back, right down the middle. And if the spine is deformed, they can have mobility issues, they can have an uncomfortable life, and their quality of life just wouldn't be the same as if they had, a healthy spine and a healthy shell. Before I even brought Frankie home, I did a lot of research, like I do with all of my reptiles, and a very helpful, very detailed YouTuber that goes into a lot of detail that basically taught me everything that I know is the channel called Happy Tortoises. Her tortoises have beautiful shells. Again, very detailed. So if you have a tortoise, I highly recommend watching all of her videos. I revisited her page once again and watched every single one of her videos just to see, like, refresh my memory, make sure that I was giving him the proper care that he needed. While I was looking at her videos, I found another YouTuber by the channel name of Tortoise General, I believe. And he has a tortoise named Billy, the same age as Frankie, and he has the most beautiful round shell that I have ever seen. And so I visited those two channels. I wanted to pay close attention to the things that they were doing, the care that they were giving, and compare that to my care. While researching, I did see a lot of similarities in our care as far as like the temperature, humidity, generally like what to feed them. All that was pretty similar, but I did notice two different factors, and I'm gonna go over those right now. But let me put Frankie back because he's still in the middle, I think, of pooping, and I want him to poop in peace. So I'm gonna put him back. What those two differences are is, number one, the setup. Both of these YouTubers recommend a tortoise table as opposed to an enclosure like this. This is Frankie's enclosure right here. It's enclosed. It's one of these. You guys have probably seen them if you watch other YouTubers. And they both had an open table with, of course, like the hide and the plants and stuff like that, like I do. And one thing about the setup that I do want to point out is that the Tortoise General actually has some sand in his enclosure. And I know as reptile keepers, we like to stay away from the sand to prevent impaction and stuff like that. But I also noticed this other YouTube, I forgot who it was, but this other YouTuber had sand in his enclosure, like not in the whole thing, but on part of it had some sand. And he said that it's good for their bellies because sand like retains the heat, and it's good for them to have that under belly heat, which is something that Frankie does not have. He does have a slate in there, but he doesn't have like an actual heating pad or like sand to retain that heat and get some heat in his belly. So that's the differences that I noticed in this setup. And the second thing that I noticed was the diet. Neither one of these YouTubers feeds their tortoise pebbles. I have been feeding Frankie these pebbles since I got him, pretty much at least once a week. Sometimes, like, you know, it would go further, like every 2 weeks or something. So I've been feeding him these pebbles as a treat. None of those two YouTubers said anything about feeding them pebbles, and I started looking into the ingredients. The first one, ground corn, that doesn't sound healthy, but it didn't have much protein in it. But then the second ingredient says soybean hulls, and I don't know what they mean by hulls, but I looked up soybean, and soybeans are high in protein. So because I care about Frankie and I want him to live a long, healthy life, I am no longer going to be feeding him these pebbles. They will not be going to waste. I will be feeding these to our box turtle, Tokyo. She has a beautiful shell. She can eat these pebbles, so they will be going to her. But Frankie will no longer be getting these until, you know, until I feel like it's safe again, or maybe like, you know, twice a year type of thing. The other thing I noticed about the diet is that they feed their tortoises hays, alfalfa hay, Timothy hay, all those hays dried up, which is something that I have not done. I tried it at the beginning. I noticed that he wasn't liking it, so I was just like, you know, he doesn't like it, like, I'm just not going to feed it to him. But I think because it's so high in fiber, it is very important to feed our leopard tortoises, or any tortoise, hay, because, and I knew this when I've had him. I put it even in my leopard tortoise guide video, because I know that it should be hays, grass, and then, you know, some weeds, and then just kind of add a little bit of greens from the grocery store to add like some flavor and some different, you know, variety. But if you want to learn more about the diet, visit my leopard tortoise diet video, or go to one of these YouTube channels, because they go into a lot of detail. So with that being said, I'm going to be adding hays to his diet. I'm also going to be taking off these doors to give it, both of these YouTubers talked about giving them a good airflow. I even left a comment on Tortoise General's videos because I asked them, because I thought this whole time the humidity was a big factor, and yes it is, especially when they're hatchlings at a young age. It's very important to get that high humidity, because if you think about it, when they're babies, they spent their time hiding. They're not out in the sun, you know, they're vulnerable, they're hiding. They go into, oh, and it's also raining season is what I understand. During the time that a lot of these tortoises hatch, it's like the rainy, kind of, maybe not colder, but definitely like the humid rainy season. So we want to keep the humidity high while they are small hatchlings. And I do think that the pet store that I bought him from did fail to do that, because and actually my husband brought him home and he showed me a picture, and I remember seeing the picture, like, why would they set it up like that? Like, it looks dry. I hardly saw any hides, and there was no humidity in that enclosure whatsoever. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I left a comment on the Tortoise General's video to ask him, like, hey, what do you keep your humidity at? Because I noticed that in his video he didn't really talk about that, and I will attach his response. But he basically said, I don't keep track of the humidity. I missed it once a day, but it's more so for the plants. And I think the biggest culprit for tortoise pyramiding is too much protein. So obviously he knows what he's doing. Like I said, his tortoise belly has a beautiful shell. So I think that is where I have failed, is mainly the diet, because I don't think the enclosure has too much to do with it. Maybe the fact that the heating pad, or not the heating pad, but that he doesn't have heat underneath him, that I think that might have a little bit to do it. But I think overall the Tortoise General is correct, and I probably fed Frankie too much protein, not enough fiber, because because I didn't feed him the Timothy hay. So again, this was the learning experience. I plan on making these changes. I will show you later on after I get home. I will be changing the enclosure a little bit. I am obviously getting hay. I think I honestly still have a bag hiding somewhere, and I'm gonna look for it, just so I can start feeding him feeding him these things that I know are good for him, even though if he doesn't like it right away. And of course, cutting out the pebbles. The pebbles are going to be gone because it has too much protein in it. Yes, there are other factors that could be causing the pyramiding, but I think I have those all down. I have the right temperature. I make sure the UVB is replaced when it needs to be replaced. And actually, this one does need to be replaced this month, because exactly a year ago this month, I got him a new light, so I need to change that. I think it's called Acadia. I forgot which one I get, but I'll pin a photo so you guys can see. I will be getting that. Maybe in this video, maybe not. I don't know if I'll have time. But as far as like where I have gone wrong, I truly do believe it's the diet. Not that these other things aren't important. I highly recommend you look into it and, you know, figure out the right, the husbandry needs to be correct if we want our tortoises to succeed. It's pretty late now, guys, but we have to get this done. So I ended up finding my Timothy hay, which I'm super excited about because I want to get this into his diet ASAP. I'm going to soak it overnight and give it to him tomorrow, because I did see that was like a tip that somebody posted on the internet or something like that, like soak the hay so it's easier for them to eat. I'm not sure. I'm going to try different stuff because, again, Frankie doesn't like this, but he needs to start eating it. This is the stuff that I got from Home Depot, the plants. I was only going to add sand to his enclosure, but since those two YouTubers that I mentioned earlier do use topsoil with 50-50 topsoil and play sand, I'm just going to go ahead and change it. His substrate doesn't necessarily need to get changed because I did that not too long ago, but again, I'm just gonna do it because why not? I don't need to sleep. Oh, but look at Sunflower. She's so cute. All the substrate is out. I'm not going to wipe it because it really was clean substrate. Like, it's not that old. I am going to leave this hide, the substrate under here alone, because he's in there sleeping and I don't want to bother him. I already woke him up super early today to do my intro and he peed on me. So I'm just going to leave him alone and work with everything else. So I really want to take these doors off so that I can get some more airflow in here and kind of do like my own little tortoise table type of idea thing. But I couldn't get these doors off, but I just looked on the website. Reptile Cages does sell replacement doors. And the reason why I'm worried about these doors is because eventually when Frankie outgrows this enclosure, my ball python Marshmallow will probably take over this enclosure. So I wanted, I want to keep it intact, but at the same time I want to make sure I have a good setup for Frankie. So worst case scenario, if these break, I can just replace them. So yeah, let's continue. Gosh, that was scary. Woohoo! It's not broken. Another one not broken. Amazing. I don't know how I managed to get these out without breaking them, but I'm so glad that they're not broken. Now the only thing that's left to do is put the plants in here. So I saw somebody had one of these. I forgot who. It might have been Billy. But the tortoise. But I saw one, I was like, I want Frankie to have one too. So how cute is this? Super cute. And some more succulents. I literally have so many succulents at my house, but why not just spend more money, right? So I'll put this one right here. And this one is new, but these little guys were already here and I'm just trying to save them. So this one I will probably put over here. And Frankie is in this hide. So this is already starting to feel, it's honestly, no, not really, I'm lying. It's not super warm, but it's just like a tiny bit warm. So we'll see how this all goes, guys. This is what his enclosure looks like now. Again, the substrate is 50-50 topsoil and play sand. This is just regular play sand. I put it underneath his basking spot. This is his warm hide, so he can come in here and like he usually does, and he can stay warm underneath his belly. The reason why I'm doing the sand and not the heating pad is because I don't think it's safe, especially without like some space in between these two enclosures. This is plywood, so definitely don't want to put a heating pad on top of plywood. So this is the option that I could do, and this is the mess, of course, but I'm just gonna leave it. It's so late, I'm gonna go to bed, guys. I will update you on how Frankie progresses, and I hope this video was helpful more than anything. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys next Thursday. Peace.